Hello fellow academics around the world and welcome back to City Skylines 2. I've been thinking a lot about the current build and I've noticed I think things have been going a little bit weird. I've increased the density quite a bit down here, like downtown, completely ignoring the low density zoning or low density building, which I don't think is a good approach because at the moment this city feels a bit strange. There's no low density increase moving up to the high density city center, whereas instead we have that high density or like medium density city wall, including some of that low density area in between. And I'm very well aware that I said this is will grow this basically as demand rises, replacing this low density part down here with higher density as we need. But nonetheless, we have, well, not we, I have ignored any kind of low density areas. I've not created any kind of demand for low density housing. So today, let's see if we can't figure out how to make that demand increase again. So there are two issues with this. One is unoccupied buildings and the other one is availability of jobs. Now, with the unoccupied buildings, I didn't think any of the low density buildings would be unoccupied. And I don't think there's an overlay that can show me unoccupied buildings, but let's double check. So residential, not entirely sure what is the, so empty is black. All of these kind of look black, but they are definitely full. So it's not that. I guess this is residential buildings, so that wouldn't be black. All of this, these individual houses, they're all full. So are all of these. Now this was lit up, flashing a little bit, but ultimately it had no meaning. So this building here is empty. Not quite empty, but I guess close to being empty. But ultimately that's not too much of an issue. There's also some empty areas in the back buildings of this higher density zones. But we do have now one empty building here and a few more in the back here. So for now, I'm going to delete all of these in the hope that this will help us. And just deleting these, we're actually increasing our medium density demand, which is, it's kind of weird to me. So unoccupied building kind of solved, but we still have unoccupied low density buildings. So let's go back in here. Let's figure out where the rest of the unoccupied buildings are. Let's actually just remove all of the zoning that is currently not filled in. So all of this basically done. Our medium density buildings are actually filling in, so that's not too bad. Okay, and I think that was basically everything there was that was unoccupied. So let's go back and look again for some black buildings where there actually is some low density housing. Now this is medium density housing, and then again it's not completely empty. So we don't need the signature building, we do need the residential buildings. So this obviously wouldn't be an issue. None of this is actually any living space. Here we go. There's another residential building which is empty. Same as this one here. As soon as I delete them though, they basically get rebuilt. Which again is kind of weird to me. Unoccupied buildings. But you are building these buildings, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Unless it's this one. What about over here? Yeah, none of these are on unoccupied. Actually, no, that's a small playground. Where else do we have low residential buildings? I feel like it's staring me in the face and I just can't see it. And again, I don't quite know why, even though that is supposed to be an issue, they're rebuilding these low density... oh, there's one. They're still rebuilding these low density housing options, like immediately. Actually, this one was one too. Now let's see. Nope, this was the wrong one. Over here. Still unoccupied buildings. Alright. Now the new... oh, there's another one. But didn't you just rebuild this one? Yeah, you immediately rebuilt it. But it is unoccupied. Okay, so this can't actually be the big problem that we're having. So instead, I think we need to figure out our industry problem. So they do say, well, problem I call it. They say there is no availability for jobs. We do have an industry demand. Oh, look at that. The low density demand is actually slowly coming back, which is awesome. But now let's figure out where we can add some more industry. Since they are saying they want more industry, we should give them more industry. And I think maybe now it's time to expand over onto this area, basically from our initial building area. Look how the low density demand kind of just skyrocketed. So in the long run, I would love to put more industry down here, or actually in this area in between here. Because I think this plot right there would be great for a cargo train station, like I've mentioned in the past. And if we use this rail track over here, we could actually put in our train depot to have one of the tracks coincide with that throughway from the regular train, kind of using part of this railway system to also incorporate the depot, which means that area around the waterfront would be open for more industry and ultimately would lend itself to more to like a harbor of some sort. I am thinking, let me actually double check this. I think we can at least double check this. So there is actually a boat route or ship route going along this area right here. So I think this is what we're going to do right now. Just to make sure, even though our industry demand is kind of recovering, we do want to, not industry demand, our low density housing demand is recovering. We want to make sure that we keep it that way, as we are going to put more houses in. So I've bought these two parts of the grid, expanding our city limits. And we're going to flatten our area right here. Now there seems to be a intermediate step over here, which I think is okay. I don't mind, to be honest. But we are going to, well, remove a bunch of the hills over here, flattening this out. So in a sense, we're keeping in mind what we are using up and are using that to fill up the area over here. to allow us in the long run to put down our train depot, like I mentioned before, just in this section right here. Now, saying this, we have it unlocked, we don't have the money, and it is humongous, right? So what I am thinking is if we place it just like that, we can incorporate it into that existing railroad track. Maybe something, maybe we'll actually then need the next part of the building grid as well. We could place it somewhere around here. So if we do that, that should actually leave us with, need to make sure we're not overdoing it. And I know right now I am definitely over engineering sort of the difference in terrain height, just to make sure in the long run we actually get to where we need to be. Alright, I am going to feather this out over here for now, and we're going to undo this once we unlock that area over there and start filling up this area, this part, this hole with whatever we've been digging up over here. Okay, so we're going to remove a little bit more in this direction. Actually, I'm going to flatten this out or straighten out that area over here, although this was a bit too much. So we're going to reduce the brush size and feathering out sort of this part right there. We're also now going to increase the brush size, but reduce the brush strength to flatten this part out over here, which I think will give us a good pathway up in the long run to put our road system up this way and connect our train depot once we put it in. Nonetheless, down here, this entire area now becomes prime for an industry zone. So let's see, we could put in a regular 2-lane road, and we might actually just do that. So let's go ahead, start from over here, just at the end of our forest, and consider putting in a relatively big grid of future or of industrial area development, just like that. Now part of the road is going up, and this is definitely still way too steep what is going up. So we're gonna leave it like that. That gives us 3 of these areas that we can utilize for our industry zone. I'm also going to split these up just to make sure they're not too small. And what we are going to do is we're going to connect this road here, or this crossing over here, into our industrial zone. We actually need multiple entries just to make sure our industry zone will actually be okay in the way it is connected. So we have at least 2 ins and 2 outs. Yes, I am in with the complex curve tool, and we're just gonna put it in like that. And that makes me think this part right here should actually be a roundabout, which we are going to do. Maybe a bigger roundabout, because it is again the industrial zone that we're placing here, and just hollow in the middle, so when we have trucks they can actually, if they need to, sort of cut the corner right there. Alright, now this entire area should be completely hooked up in terms of electricity and water, and that should allow us to immediately put in our industrial buildings at relatively big sizes. Because we are outside of our village area, I think this makes quite a bit of sense. We do have a little bit of office demand, and we're going to place that right in front of our industry building, where we could see that some of these buildings may be producing individual bits and pieces like toys or something, and then we have office zones that are in charge of distributing or maybe general marketing across multiple of these industry areas right here. It does work relatively nicely because our forestry industry is right next door, and because of the way we have built it, we can also easily extend it. But before we do that, we are going to place down a few more of our trees. Let's see, what do we have here? Birch trees, spruces. So a mix of birch and spruce. So let's actually do the same. We go in here, we select not the spruce. And where are the birch trees? Here. I forgot how to select multiple trees. We are going to create more adult trees. So let me just place a few of the birch trees and then a few more of the spruces. No, we're not sprucing up that area. Ha ha ha. For those of you who remember my joke from last time. Anyways, so this is now again part of this forest area that is created as part of our forest industry. And we're just gonna connect this up right to the corner here. And actually we're going to include these few trees over here as well. Need to make sure that we're not in the water when we do that. Just like that. And with that, we have also expanded our forestry area, which I think lends itself nicely with the expanding industry zone over here. Now all of our industry and commercial demand has recovered, which is great. We do have another traffic jam over here. Let me see why. Cars are slowly moving in here, and we do have the road crossing over there, which I think I mean, look at how many road crossings there are. So we're definitely going to remove these. Select this, right click here and here, and we're leaving them down there. But there doesn't need to be a direct crossing at the end of our pedestrian zone that has beautifully filled in over here. Look at that, it's a bustling area for our commercial district, or pedestrian zone as we've called it in the past, and people are enjoying this. Same with the other side, there's a good amount of traffic going on, which is good for all the shops down here and the people living over here. So overall, that has worked out quite nicely. Now we do have a bit more traffic going on down there. Why is there traffic down here? There's no real reason, I want to say. There's actually no streetlight over here, so we had removed the streetlights, but we are actually putting it back in just to speed up, hopefully, that traffic as it sort of turns from this area into this one. Makes me wonder if we don't have enough capacity for down this road. Why are you stuck here? Not entirely sure what you're doing, man. Okay. Anyways. Now we do have more traffic jam over there, and I think this will turn into a roundabout, which I would say makes again a lot of sense. Oh, look at that, they actually have direct slip lanes. I like these. Huh, with asymmetric centers. Yeah, some really cool stuff that has happened. Maybe I've never just played around enough with roundabouts so far. So a lot of that traffic is actually trying to turn into this side over here, which means we actually need to remove some of that. Oh, these are actually parked cars. What is this strange road system that I had built over here? So we go from a 2-lane road into a 4-lane road into a 2-lane road and then back into a 4-lane road. Now that doesn't seem right. So let's go into our road system, medium roads, and just upgrade this part right here. Let's see, let's turn all the snapping off. Don't know why I need to do that, but this way we go from a 2-lane bridge and we stay on a 2-lane area. Now there's also traffic building up, which makes me think, well, we need to solve actually this part right here. So, straight or right? Where are they going? And what are you doing, people? Why are you on the right lane to then turn left? Let's actually have it simulate a little bit more. Maybe it's because I changed the road system that everything is a little bit wonky. Alright, now I actually need to slow it down because our garbage facility is full again, which means we are actually producing more garbage than we are using up. Alright, I do not want to focus on this really today, but I think it doesn't leave me any more choice. So let's expand our garbage center or garbage area again. That added another 130 tons, which is not a lot. So we do definitely need to figure out our garbage problem. Alright, let's look at this again. There is traffic issues over here. It's actually just a crash. Maybe we need to put in the road maintenance services. But again, not part of this episode. What we do want to focus on instead is making sure that our transition is a bit more optimal. And I think one thing that we kind of want to do here, and we're not keeping the 2-lane, actually let's keep the 2-lane road. It would be nice to have a road that goes up here, but with that slope, that is way too much for even for my taste. 15% is pretty steep. 5.5 is pretty nice. I think I could live with, I can definitely live with 7.8. And now we can actually keep that. Let's actually have a look. That actually doesn't look too bad. Although I have to say it looks like that is a little bit awkward. Easy for me to say. So let's instead, and I haven't done this really ever, or haven't used this really ever, the parallel road tool. But it will allow us to put a parallel road to this existing road in, and then we just connect this up, which hopefully will now allow us to still have an okay bend over here without it being too much. Turn off the parallel road tool again, go from here over there, 7%. 7% is not that bad. All right. So with that, we're over here. We are gonna continue our road system in this direction. Now this has currently basically no slope, which is nice. We actually need to stop that a little bit earlier, because then I want to continue that over here and bend it down into this road with an 8.2. I will take that. So having done all of this, we will also just mellow out the slope up here, and need to go over there. Just feather it out. Much smaller brush size, and then we're going to go into the alleyway, go up here, go over there, 5.5, 4.6, that I will definitely take. and then we're just bending this in there, and this way we also have a connection up here. Now this could be just a simple road connection that connects our, actually instead of that alleyway, let's stick with the gravel road that comes from our farm area into this road area right here. Okay, so we've done all of this, and the main purpose for this was to put in a few more low density housing options in. So we're going to add relatively small houses along this side, and again along on the other side. We're also going to put small houses over here, basically all around this newly built road that we just created, which hopefully will allow us to create a much more realistic transition from our medium density areas into our low density areas and then into the farmland. And with that, we've also reached Busy Town, which is great, mostly because it gives us a ton of money to work with. All right, let's put in more of the really small housing areas over here. They all do make sense, close to the farmland. I think it would be quite a nice area to live. And I hope the people in this game think so too. Alright, this has now destroyed this house over there, which I guess is fine. But we are putting a new housing area over here and there. Okay, with that in place, I can hopefully remove this again. Yeah, let's delete you and you as well, putting in 2 houses instead of 1. And we're also going to remove that path over here. Now, having done all of this, what I think a path that would make sense is actually from here. And now I'm turning all of my snapping tools back on. Slope is too steep. That would be very unfortunate. Here we go. All right. So now this house looks super wonky. Gonna pause, delete the house, mellow out that slope over here, in the hope that the house will benefit from it, and then have it spawn back in. Now this looks still a bit wonky, but much better than what it did before. And with that, we're creating definitely a low density area behind the school, which as the city developed, I could see being a very natural thing to happen. So I'm gonna put in roads over here, and I'm going to put in multiple roads over here that will ultimately allow us to put even more of these small housing areas in, and hopefully in a way that it makes sense to us. I'm gonna put in a house there, could put in a bigger house here, so we're also doing that. And I do wanna change the zoning from this. I think currently it's focused on this road right here. And now it's focused on the little side roads, which is much nicer. So put in the houses right there. Whoop. And now, for whatever reason, that road has completely destroyed this part over here, but with... Oh, accidentally put a small alleyway over here, so now I can remove it. And with this, we're again in a much better space. So let's also look at sort of this Coolridge area. There's one big downside right here. Now we are much closer to the wind turbines. They do create noise, but I don't think they're that much louder than what you would get from regular wind noise. Nonetheless, we do still need to expand our low density area. So let's go in here. Target height, fair enough. Let's put the brush size a little bit further up. And the strength a little bit higher. We're going to re-flatten out some areas for housing right here. Going to actually expand this even more. Ooh, just like that. And this, again, will be soil that we're keeping in mind for future developments as we are like filling up the gaps that we have created, or that we will, as we are filling up the gaps that are given within that area, like within that map that we're currently building on. So I've put in this zoning right here in order to make sure it puts in not houses that are not too big. I want them to be 3 by 3. I'm gonna put in a path here right now, fill up this entire area with low density housing. Once this is all filled in, we're going to remove those buildings, or this road, put in the additional area right here, and now this is on. I don't want to see that. We want to have a path that blocks off this part right here, as well as this part right here. So all of the rest can fill in, and once the houses have filled in, we're going to remove. What happened over here? Interesting. Because of the way these... I wish there was a tool to determine where the zoning, from which road the zoning would come from. I would love for that to happen, but I guess for now we have some smaller housing over there, and all of this has filled in, so we can remove that, and we can also remove that and put in another 2 by 2 housing option over there. Now this was just the regular EU housing, and over here I think we actually had put in our, was it our British housing? Let's put in our UK low density detached housing over there. Let's fill up this entire area, because we do have the demand, so we are filling this up. We're doing much better with our money, which means I think, well, let's actually first complete these areas that we have right here. Oh, so it wasn't the UK housing that I had put over here. Then what was it? I wish I would be able to tell. How do you tell? Doesn't really matter. Let's do all of that as well. So this will eat up a bunch of our demand. Demand is already recovering, so it's bouncing a little bit back and forth. And additionally, we also will fill in this area right here, just to fill up that entire residential area that we had down here, completely demoling our low density demand. It's already recovering. I don't even know what I was worried about. But it sounds like, or it seems like, these were not UK housing options. So let's put in some more UK housing options over there, just for a bit more consistency in that area block right here. All right, so we've done all of this, and for now we're going to assume this is almost like a suburb area. Now this suburb area would very likely, I think, have the extension over here, overshooting this a little bit, and then going straight into that road right here. 90 degrees, excellent. Okay, now, how do you actually... There's a way to fix that zoning issue. Okay, let's do it manually again. So we are going to put in a path over here, putting the zoning away from this road, putting in a path over here, and that's kind of what we're getting, which for now I actually think is okay. I would not expect everything to be perfectly aligned in a suburb area like this. So with that, we're getting again much closer to what a sort of realistic area might actually look like. We're also going to expand this part right here. Invalid shape. So let's try this again. Put this in right there. And instead of having this curve right here, well, I like the way that it looked. We're going to remove these roads and just connecting them straight up like this, giving us a bit more of low residential, low density housing options right there. Now, this already looks a lot better, I want to say. We kind of still have to fix this part right here, and we're going to do this right away as well. So it means we are going in here, flattening this area out, and putting in a couple of roads actually. One. Now this will destroy this area right here. Not completely, just one of the buildings, which is great. And then we will put in another road. Maybe not a road, maybe just an alleyway for now. That goes from here all the way, connecting this up right there. Now I don't want actually this road doesn't give me enough space to put in two 2x2 housing areas right there. So we're gonna do it like that, which still not perfect, but I think a lot better, which then allows us to focus our zoning on these roads and fill all of this up with, nope, let's go with regular European low density housing options. Actually, let's try doing this low density housing over here, and then we're gonna move into row housing on this side. So we have a little bit from low density to higher density conversion over here, which is great. There's a bit of a pathway on both sides. Considering how much it is snowing, I think we're just gonna say we leave that open for the snow plows to put some additional snow in, which I think will help our people quite a bit. I'm actually double check what's zoned in here. Now this is kind of super weird. So let's put in again another path over here, which allows more commercial to be placed right there, and this way we have a small buffer between our residential area and our industrial zone. All right. Now let's have a look around. We've created much more low density housing over there, here and here. There's high density housing right next to the highway, or low rent housing, which I think actually makes sense. And we do have much more low density housing on the road right there. Meaning, I still think we should continue things a little bit more, expand this out a little bit more than before, and then put in a cul-de-sac on this side, leaving or giving us more options. And actually this is, I think, a little bit too close to the highway, so let's not go all the way. Let's just go to here, put in a cul-de-sac. So we have also tried out the new cul-de-sac, and let's make it nice with a little tree in the center. Now that looks like nothing what I would expect, but I guess that kind of works. And you hear the loud noise from the turbines going on. Let's actually see. Okay, the zoning is on this road right here. I don't want this house there. I want them to use this part right here as well. Anyways, I'm gonna put in 3 deep housing options all around there, and it immediately fills up, giving us again much more better transition from low density housing to higher density housing, although the gaps are still pretty intense in some areas. But I think we helped our entire area here with a bit more realism, and more importantly, we have balanced out our demand again, so we're in a much better state. I am going to end the episode here, but next time we will finally solve our garbage problem. We've been having a good amount of income, 20 grand per hour, which will allow us to put in a recycling center and finally tackle our overflowing landfill, which I think will ultimately benefit us a lot moving forward. All right, so we called a bunch of mulligans for hopefully a bit more realism. It's not perfect yet, and we have more things to fill in. Actually, before I end here, I am quickly going to add more low density housing over here, just again to make that transition a little bit nicer. So, but ultimately I think our entire build benefited from working this out, or working out what we have just done. Alright, with that I'm going to end the episode. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you think that calling a mulligan and focusing on increasing our low residential area in our little village made sense to you or didn't. If you have any comments, any suggestions of what to build next, please let me know. And if you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It helps a lot. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.